we go. So find your seat and take whatever support you need so that you're comfortable. And we'll just do a little bit of anchoring ourselves to start. Excuse my raspy voice. Make sure to drink some water. So getting comfortable and supported. And see if you can find some evenness and balance side to side and front and back. And if you need to move a little, maybe you need to move your head or your shoulders before settling into stillness, that's okay. Go ahead and find your own way into that quiet center, using your body to get present in the moment, feeling what it needs in this moment. And then just feeling not just your physical, but that you are here and present in your whole self, every part of your being. You might just notice the sensations that arise and the thoughts. You might notice those things and just let that awareness of them float on by, as if you were noticing a shape in the clouds. And you know that the shape will change and move along, the wind will blow it on. So in the same way, just noticing these sensations, these thoughts, these distractions. And some might be valuable or valid, and you can just take note of them and ask your body, your mind to hang on to that for later. Just settle back into the stillness of observing. Letting the focus of your next observation be what your breath feels like in this moment. Not needing to change it anyway, but just noticing, where is the breath feel fullest in your body? Where do you notice sensation from the breath moving you? Now let's bring our attention to the belly. Can you feel the belly being moved by your inhalation? And again, by your exhalation. That same area of the body, can you imagine the breath moving your back body? That area beneath the ribs. And even if you're not aware of much sensation, just imagine sending the breath to your low ribs, right there in your back body. Now let's just feel the whole body expanding front and back with each of our breaths. And each exhalation bringing us back to our center line. Now let's imagine expanding side to side with each breath, feeling your side ribs expand with each inhalation and draw back to the center on each exhalation. And now keeping the upper body still, the shoulders and the chest, keeping it relatively still, but just knowing that you're also breathing into the upper lobes of your lungs, that space beneath your collarbones and where your scapula are, the shoulder blades. Just being aware of that breath filling the whole of your torso. Now let's imagine the sitting bones drawing together, the outer hips drawing towards the midline. So you might feel a little bit of an inward stabilizing feeling as you visualize that. And then let's picture our pubic bone lifting up towards the navel and the tailbone just softening gently down. So again, everything coming to the midline. That's your Mula Bandha, your root lock. And now we're going to draw the belly button up towards the ribs, and that's called your flying up or Uddiyana Bandha. So keeping the root lock, keeping the Uddiyana or flying up bandha. Let's also ever so slightly let the chin drop towards the chest, Jalandhara Bandha. And so imagine the breath being contained within this vessel from the pelvic floor up to the bottom of the palate of your mouth. And just notice your natural breath rate. Again, letting it just be exactly what it is. But maybe you notice the breath being slower, a little fuller after all your attention to it. Sometimes we notice a slight pause after the in-breath before we exhale, or after the out-breath before we inhale. And that's not something you need to force, just might be something you notice. as we slow down, that there are sometimes pauses, and in those pauses, there's a stillness and replenishment that happens. All right, when we're ready, just letting the breath come back to normal, lifting the chin to neutral. If you're in a cross-legged stance, you might change the cross of your legs just to bring a little balance to the body. And we'll rest the left palm upward on our lap and bring the right palm right by the side, fingers all together, but palm forward. This is a Baha Mudra. And this sets the intention that you release fear and walk into your own light, receiving everything you need, all the support you need from the universe, letting go of your fear about being fully and wholly who you are, sharing your light with the world. And if there's another intention today that would be useful to you in assisting you in standing in your own light, go ahead and embrace that now. Planting that seed, that intention. And my suggestion is that you say it as an I am statement. I am whatever it is. I am fully present. I am slow and mindful. Whatever your intention for yourself is today, say it as if it already were so. When you're ready, we'll let the hands come to the heart center. Let's bow to that light within each of us. We'll let the hands come down and the eyes gently open. All right, so those were a couple of breath techniques. We did the 3-part breathing, which is belly, ribs, upper. And we did that in a little different way. Sometimes we literally put our hands in the location we want to bring awareness to. We also did a little variation of box breathing. When usually box breathing is seen as making equal sides, but the reality is that each of our in-breaths is different, and each of the pauses that we may or may not take is different. So for me, it's often a rectangle, right? And sometimes, what is that? A parallelogram. Sometimes it's a longer exhale, so one side of my structure is longer. So you can see how a box isn't universally what suits us best always. So I'd like to, blow apart the idea that your parallel or your what is that shape? Okay, someone's going to tell me after class. It's not a parallelogram either, but I think it's a polygon. Anyway, that the sides can be different depending on your own breath rate. And we don't want to get locked into the shoulds, right? We want to be with what is right now. So kind of fun, nice anchoring. We're going to move along now to our backs. And I'm going to encourage you to take your blanket and fold it like so. You can use a firm beach towel or towel too, if you don't have a blanket at home. But what we're going to do is take this and put it under the spine. So right above the sacrum here. So it'll look like this. And then would you also make sure before you get down on the floor that you have your strap within reach, because we're going to do some hand to big toe pose, and that strap comes in handy there. But first, we're just going to do a little bit of awareness of the breath and engagement of our core. So I've got my spine supported by the blanket, but my tailbone is resting on the floor. So would you join me in this place? And I find that there's a little too much arch if it's the blanket edge is right at the very top of my sacrum. I like to scoot off the blanket a little bit more so that I'm really feeling the support of the blanket in the small of my back. So would you experiment with a similar shape where you can get comfortable? So we want this to be comfortable. And then let's take our hands to our hip points for a moment. All right, is everybody with me? So what we're going to do is take a big deep breath and just feel the expansion of the front body. And as you exhale, would you draw that front body back towards the floor, back towards your blanket? Good. And now we're going to add to that movement. So inhale, get full and juicy. And then exhale, I'm going to ask you not to press into your feet, but to see if you can lift your tailbone just off the floor. So the feet obviously bear a little weight, but that we're not pushing into our feet in order to lift the tailbone. Instead, we're using our core muscles to lift the tailbone up and relax it back down to the floor as you inhale. All right, so inhale, get full, press the tailbone into the floor. Exhale and lift using your core muscles, lift that tailbone up. Inhale and relax back down. So a few more just like that at your own pace. Can you keep your shoulders relaxed, keep your chin ever so slightly releasing towards your chest so that the back of the neck stays long and soft. Few more, just like that. You feel your muscles waking up just a little bit. Maybe you feel your low belly, your transverse abdominis, which slings across the front of the body, holding our organs in place. All right, next time you have the tailbone lifted, let's leave it there. Use the abdominal muscles to hold that place, but take a few breaths right here. So we want to get used to being able to engage muscles and still breathe. And release the tailbone down. Good. Okay, will you roll to the side, press into the floor and come up, and just move your blanket aside. And then we'll come on back down to the floor. And before we move on, I'd like to just bend the knees and walk the feet apart nice and wide, and then let the knees fall in toward one another. And then you might just take your arms across like an X and rest each hand on your opposite shoulder and just roll side to side a little bit. And then feel yourself wide on the floor and relax into the floor. Now the knees will fall into one another. Let's just take a moment here to rest and let the back soften and relax. Feeling the natural curve in your low back. Feeling just as we did in the beginning, what your breath is doing, where it moves you. And here on the floor, you might feel your back body moving more with the breath. Our awareness is greater when we have something that's a frame of reference, which the floor is for us. Just feel the low back and its interaction with the floor as you breathe. Feel your ribs, the bottom ribs expanding. So you can feel them traveling sort of in parallel with the floor, side to side, and also back and into the floor. And you can feel the lungs getting full underneath your ribs, behind your shoulder blades. Excellent. All right, let's let the hands come, or the elbows come down to the floor, and we'll take the knees apart. Why don't we bring the right knee into the chest for a moment, just a couple of times, in and away. Just stretching the low back a little bit. And then when you're ready, we'll flex that right foot and bring the strap to just below the ball of the right foot. And here we'll move again. So we'll inhale, and as we exhale, we'll extend the legs skyward. So a couple of times, bending as you inhale. Exhale, press through that heel. So we're beginning to open up the muscles in the legs. Now let's exhale, extend the legs straight. So your straight might have the leg further away from the body. It might be quite close to the body, but we're going to straighten the leg fully, reach through the heel, and then press through the ball of the foot, and imagine drawing your kneecap towards your pelvis. So now the leg is quite active. And if you spread your toes, it will become even more active. And that feels pretty good. Can you check in with your shoulders? Do they still, the shoulder blades still have contact with the floor? We want to maintain that. And then let's find that abdominal work that we just did when our back was supported by the blanket. Can you just inhale, exhale, and draw the navel towards the floor? Good. And then if it feels right, you could extend your left leg along the floor, pressing the heel away, flexing the toes and spreading them, and feeling the thigh bone pressing towards the earth, even if it doesn't completely rest on it. So this is Supta Padangusthasana, or hand to big toe pose. If my arms were longer, maybe I'd hold my big toe, but for me, that's not possible. So this strap helps me to get into the shape in a way that's got integrity. And we'll hold it and give our hamstring muscles at the back of the leg an opportunity to open while being supported by the front quadriceps muscles. Excellent. And then let's take the strap into the right hand and bring the left hand down on the floor next to your left hip. And keeping the abdominal engagement, let's use that abdominal engagement to keep the left pelvis right on the floor as we bring that right leg out to the right. So I know the tendency is for the hips to turn, but let's keep the pelvis really anchored to the floor and let the stretch be on the inner thigh of that right leg. And on your next inhalation, let's draw the leg back up to the sky. And let's take the strap into the left hand and bring the right hand down to the floor next to the right hip. And we'll roll the thigh bone, just turn it inward towards your belly button. Your knee will face your left elbow. Your big toes will be turned inward and the heel slightly outward. And let's look at that heel and reach through the outer heel. And maybe you'll feel a stretch, sometimes from the hip to the knee, sometimes from the knee all the way down to the bottom of the foot. And that's called your iliotibial band on the outside of the hip. And it meets the peroneals. There we go, stretching those. You might cross the leg just slightly over the body. You won't need to go far. Excellent. And now we're going to cross the leg over the body. Maybe let your right arm come out to the side and bring the leg over the body. Now, if that feels like too intense a stretch, just bend your knee. That might feel better for you today. But just exploring, crossing the leg, and you can hold onto the strap so you don't go further than it's comfortable for your body today. Keeping that right shoulder anchored on the floor. We'll give you a little stretch to the chest as well. So let's consciously breathe into the chest for a moment. And now if your leg is straight, bend it, and then let's lift it up to the sky. And we'll unhook the right foot and bring the right foot to the floor. And then let's just do the whole thing on the left side. We'll draw the left knee in and out a couple of times, in towards the body and away. Yes, and the next time it's in, we'll lasso the left foot. And when you're ready, inhaling with the knee bent, exhaling, straightening the leg up. So a few times, just like that, getting some movement, some blood flow into the muscles of the legs. Before we hold a static stretch, it's nice to warm up the muscle a little bit. Good, and then when you feel ready, let's extend through the heel, straight leg. And again, that leg, and I'm finding on this side that my legs needs to be just a little further away than on the other side. For whatever reason, this side's a little tighter, and that's okay. That's what we're working with, right? Exploring. As we reach through the left heel, reach through the ball of the left foot, spread the toes wide. Anchor the head of the femur, the thigh bone, into the pelvis. And let the hip slide down away from your ear. Good, and we'll just hold this, making sure the shoulders remain on the back, on the floor. Shoulder blades are on the floor. There we go. Giving the leg a chance to open. Not pushing faster than the body is ready for us to go, but to really listen to what your body wants at this moment. And now I feel that as I've held this for a while, my sensation of stretch has diminished a little bit. And so for me, it's appropriate to straighten the right leg. For you, you might be feeling, I'm really at my edge still. I'm really feeling I don't need to go further. So maybe you'll stay with the knee bent today, right? So whichever works for you, let's just tune in and hear ourselves. Excellent. All right, let's bring the strap into the left hand. Maybe rest your right hand on your belly just for a moment so you can have that reference point to remind you to engage through the core. Good. So now, if you didn't do this before, will you straighten your right leg on the floor, even if that means taking the lifted leg a little further from the body? And then re-engage the core, relax the shoulders. Here we go. We're going to take that left leg out to the side, keeping the right side of your pelvis beautifully anchored to the floor. And using your left hand to lift up on the strap if you're feeling a little too much intensity. So giving your body this time to flower open into the stretch. Right, and when you're ready, inhale and lift that leg back up. We'll take the strap into the right hand. Let's roll the thigh inward, the thigh bone inward, pointing the knee to the right, the big toe to the right. And then reach through the outer heel. There it is. Excellent. And you might cross over just an inch or two, finding that edge where there's stretch without discomfort. Just a little bit of awareness of, oh yes, I feel a stretch. And when you're ready, let's take that left arm out in line with the shoulder roughly, palm down to the floor as we cross the leg over the body, across the body. And you might start across and find a place where, oh, I'm getting a lot of stretch. I'm going to hold that for a while. Or you might go fully and deeply into the end range of your stretch. Explore, see what feels best to you today. And when you're ready, bending the knee, lifting it to point back up to the sky. Good, and you can bend both knees and see what your body would like right now. Perhaps you would like to take your knees in a circle. Maybe you liked that shape where the legs were far apart and the knees rested on one another. Maybe you liked the knees right into the chest. Right, so would you explore what feels best in your body today as a place for constructive rest? So finding a place where you can just be quiet for a moment. And then as you're ready, we're going to roll to the side. So slowly make your way to the side. And we'll use the top hand to press into the floor and lift up. And then we're going to make our way all the way up to our feet. So however it suits you to do that. Take one foot forward and tuck the back foot under, for instance, and come on up. Sometimes having a chair nearby for that is helpful. So I have, I'm working with someone, doing privates with someone right now. They hate being on the floor because getting up is so laborious. It's okay. Work with where we are. Okay, so what we're going to do first is a little bit of forward bending, and we're going to do it in a way that's a little easier on the hamstrings. We're going to bend the knees a little bit more. So In our forward bends, you might recall, we keep the spine long and straight. So we're moving from the hip crease here, keeping the spine straight and folding forward. Now, if my knees are more bent, I'll probably be able to go further without any strain on my back. If I have slightly more open hamstrings, I might not need to bend as much. Okay, but the point is here is to get some movement and get some blood flow there without any strain on the low back. So bend your knees as much or as little as it feels right to you today. So here's what it will look like. We'll bring the arms up into Urdhva Hastasana, looking up to the sky, and then we'll bend our knees, draw in the belly, and fold over. And the hands can come out to the sides, or they can rest on your hips, or they can come down through your heart and rest on your thighs, whatever suits you. And we'll just come into a forward fold if that works. You can stay with the spine extended, or you can simply keep the low back extended and round the upper side spine. Do what feels best to you today. And then inhale up halfway, push through the feet like a spring and lift the torso back up to Urdhva Hastasana. And we'll look up to the sky. Couple breaths right here. And when you're ready, bend the knees and fold forward. Hands on the thighs, spine extended, perhaps adding the rounding of the upper back. And then inhale, extend through the spine, push through the legs and lift up. There we go. And one more time, when you're ready on your exhalation, bending the knees, folding forward through either Ardha, half forward fold, or full Uttanasana. And if you've chosen to, you could bend and unbend the legs a little bit and explore that range of motion as you have warmed up your hamstrings a little bit more. Maybe there's a little more straightening that can happen comfortably without that pulling on the low back. So we'll just experiment with that a little bit. And then when you're ready, we're going to walk our hands to the thighs, bend the knees quite deeply, draw in the belly, and then press off the feet and lift the torso in one beautiful piece, right up to Tadasana, our mountain pose. There we go. Oh, good. Okay, so we're going to do something that some of us did together last week. We're going to take a scissor stance, and this is a really good opportunity to open up the hip flexors, but also work on our balance. And we're going to be doing a couple of things for our balance today. So here we go. We'll take the right foot forward and the left foot back, and we'll bring that heel all the way to the floor for both feet. And then we'll turn the hips to face the short end of the mat as much as they will, and finish the turn with the waistline. Now, if you, for a moment, would just place your hands on your hips, you might notice the hips spilling forward a little bit. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is to bring your fingertips to those frontal hip points and lift the hip points until they're facing straight ahead versus down to the floor. There we go. And then we're going to do a strange thing. We're going to round the upper spine a little bit and then deepen. Inhale, fill out the belly. Exhale and deepen the belly back. Now hold this muscular action, but breathe. And you might push down on your hip bones just a little bit. Feel some stretching. Are you breathing fully? Can you push down through the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound and the inner and outer edges of your front heel? Let the belly draw back. And next inhalation, lift the spine, lift the back heel, and step the feet together. Okay, who felt that? Yes, felt that here. So our iliopsoas starts on the lower, lesser trochanter here and comes up. And then it goes up and over the pelvis and attaches back here all through the lumbar spine. Even I think the T12 here. So you feel it and it attaches, and when this is tight, it pulls on this part of our back in a way that's not super healthy. So we're giving that a little opportunity to go in and isolate and stretch it. So we're going to do the same thing now on the opposite side. Let's take the left leg forward, the right heel back, the right thigh is rolling in, it takes the hip along with it. We finish at the waistline. And let's again rest our hands on our hips with the fingertips on the frontal hip bones as a reminder to neutralize the pelvis. So rather than spilling forward, the pelvis is level and looks straight ahead. Good, everybody there? So this is a balance pose. Being asymmetrical like this is a balance pose. All right, so now let's round the upper spine just a little bit to look down to the floor. Inhale, exhale, draw the belly back towards the back body. And keep that muscular action and just keep breathing smoothly and evenly. And then inhale, lift the heart, lift up on the ball of the back foot and push off that back foot to step together. Ah, good job. Okay, so let's just walk back and forth a couple times on our mat, just feeling the hip area opening up. And then we'll stand in the middle of the mat and just soften the knees a little bit. I'd like you to see if you could take the hips in a circle, just slowly. So you can see my knees are a little soft, a little bent. There we go. Feel what happens in each part of this range of motion. There we go. And then let's go the opposite direction. 2 or 3 times. Good, and then just kind of shimmy side to side. Ah, good. All right, so this next lunge that we're going to do, it does challenge some people's balance. So I'm just going to show it first with a chair that I've turned the opposite direction. Some people like it in front of them, some people like it next to them. So I'm just going to show this to me because I think you can see what I'm doing more easily if I have the chair back here. What I'm going to do is a high lunge. So I'm taking my right foot forward, my left foot back, but this time I'm on the ball of my back foot. So do you see that? And the leg isn't straight this time. It's got a slight bend to it, this back leg. So here's what it looks like. Rather than both legs being straight, we're going to bend the front knee to 90 degrees or somewhere approaching it, whatever your body permits you today. And then bend your back knee as much as you need to so that your pelvis can stay level. All right, so I'm going to let you get that set up before we move on, before I talk about more. All right, so here I am, I'm in a lunge. It's called a high lunge sometimes. My front knee is bent, my back knee is slightly bent, and I'm really strongly drawing my navel back towards the back body here. There we go, shoulders are relaxed, and you can use the chair or not, right? You could let your hands rest on your hips. But here's where it's going to get even more challenging, and you might bring either your right hand to the right thigh or to your chair, because we're going to lift the left arm out to the side, and then up to the sky, and then over the ear. So feel that stretch. So if you want more challenge, for balance, let go of the chair and let the hand rest on your thigh. And lift up and out. All right, let's step together. Shall we do the other side? So that's interesting. Did you feel your quadratus lumborum got a little stretch? We got some more stretch through the iliopsoas. So we're going to play with that on the other side for some balance. I'm just turning around. I think it's easier for you to see me. So I've got my left foot forward, my right foot back. Both knees are bent, and the back knee, how bent? As bent as it needs to be so that your pelvis isn't spilling forward, but that it can remain neutral. All right, so that's what we're aiming for. And we're going to draw the belly in, shoulder blades on the back, lift the heart up. So feel that. Just allow that to happen first. And then when you're ready, we're going to extend that right arm out to the side and up to the sky and up and overhead. And let the hand come down and we'll step together. So you can see where the balance comes into that. Even if you're using a chair, there's a lot going on to keep us balanced, right? All right, so let's do this. We'll work on a little bit different place. We're going to take our block between the thighs so that the short end, shortest end is parallel with the floor. The short end of the block facing forward. And what we'll do is we'll feel that slight internal rotation of the thighs. And inhale, exhale, draw the belly back. Let's use this foundation and lift the heart up, up, up. And we think about shrugging the shoulders up and softening them down for a moment here. All right, so I want you to feel how strong and stable your legs and core are when we take this internal rotation. You feel that? All right, beautiful. So now let's take our palms and turn them forward and then out away from the body and lift the arms up. Good. And then turn the palms. Yep, there we go. Turn the palms to face the sky. Shoulders come up and then soften down. And now let's re-engage the legs, the core. Soften the shoulders to the earth. And now let's just take the thumbs back to the wall behind us and release. Back to the wall behind us and release. So we're going to do this 8 more times. Slowly and consciously engaging the muscles of the back. So for me, I have about 5 more times to reach 10. Are you breathing? Keep breathing. Keep the integrity of your core and the foundation through your legs. And release. And let's just let the hands drop by the sides for a moment and notice where you feel blood flow in your body. Do you feel it across your chest? That's interesting. What about on your sides, side ribs here? What about between the shoulder blades? Where do you feel warmth and blood flow? A little buzzy tingling maybe. Okay, so now let's inhale the shoulders up. Exhale, reach the fingertips down to the floor. Firm legs, firm core, lifted heart. And now let's just extend the pinkies back. So it looked like this. I am extending the pinkies back in a little pulse. So would you join me in pulsing with the back of your arm, your triceps engaged, your pinkies reaching back. And keep those tummy muscles active so that we aren't flopping the belly forward or flaring the ribs, but that we stay supported beautifully. And release. Good job. Okay, let's set this block aside and just play with a little bit of balance. A little more balance, I should say. So again, you could do this near a wall with your fingertips on a wall or near a chair, the seat of a chair. But what we're going to do, I'm going to probably be falling all over the place because I'm talking while I do it, but I want to challenge myself a little today. So what I'm going to do is start in Tadasana and then shift my weight onto one leg. Doesn't matter which one. And it's going to help you a lot if you can feel like you've maintained that internal rotation and lifted core and lifted heart. So keep that as your starting place and then shift weight onto one foot or the other and peel the opposite heel away from the floor. And your balance today might be right here. You might explore lifting the knee up. Good. You might lower the leg and then bring it out to the side and step back together. Okay, so that's the whole of the work. So for you today, it might be staying here and it might be extending the leg out to the side. So, right, it's bending the knee, bringing it out to the side because we're working on some abduction here. For some of us, we might feel comfortable actually lifting the foot off the floor and then out to the side, right? Okay, so that's the action. You'll also feel the opposite hip working to keep us stable. All right, so feel free again to have wall or chair nearby you. Find your foundation, your mountain, and then when you're ready, we're gonna just play with where is the right place for our body to go today. Do this at least 5 times if you can, working on your balance, continuing to breathe. Excellent, and building some strength through your hips. Good, and then just shift side to side. Good work. So our balance comes very much from our core, which is beautifully supported by the actions of our legs. So let's get that in place again first before we think about doing the other side. Now, I got to tell you, you probably took the side that you favor first. It's just what our brain does. So you may be a little wobblier on this side, and that's okay. It's all part of strengthening, is working with where you are. So let's find that foundation, the internal rotation, as if there was a block between your thighs. Feel how that lifts your pelvic floor along with the core muscles here. Good. And then when you feel ready, shift your weight onto the opposite foot and maybe just peel the heel away. Perhaps lift the knee and then bring the leg out to the side. So at your own pace and in the way that suits you best today, and you may find that this side is different than the other side, that's more challenging, maybe even easier. Good. And once you feel like you've done 5, let's again just kind of shift the weight, or you could do that hip circle again, just letting go. Ooh, Okay, so I'd like us to do Utkatasana now. I'm going to show it to you turning this way because we'll do our Utkatasana or powerful chair pose, and then we'll do our forward bend. So we've already done a forward bend with quite bent knees and know that that's an option. All right, so here's what that whole little series would look like. I'm going to inhale, exhale into Utkatasana. So yours can be higher or lower, whatever suits you best. but the hip crease draws back and the belly really strongly draws in to support us. And then we'll press off the feet and fold forward into our forward bend. And then we'll push off the feet, lift up with a straight spine, come for a moment in Tadasana. And then we'll do the same thing again. So we'll do that about 5 times. We are going to hold it for a little longer than I was. But when you're ready, would you join me in inhaling the hands forward, exhaling, sitting down and back. Let the shoulders be soft, belly draws in, front ribs draw towards the back ribs. Breathing and then push off the feet, lift up and soften the knees as much as it suits you today as you fold forward into your forward bend. And let's be here for a couple breaths. And then prepare yourself to come out. Bend the knees slightly, hands to the hips. Inhale up halfway if you're not already there. Push through the feet to lift up. And we'll come back into our mountain pose. Ready? Let's do the whole thing again. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, sitting down and back. Inhaling, coming up, exhaling, folding forward. So don't worry if you don't do it at the exact same time I am. That's just telling you where we go next. And then inhale up halfway. Press through the feet and come all the way up. And we're in Tadasana. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to move us along because there's a little bit more that I want to do here standing. We're going to do Parsvottanasana, Tanasana towards the wall, which is intense forward stretch. So we often do that to a chair or to blocks. Today, here's how I want to show you how to do it. So I want to come far enough away from the wall that when I bend forward, I'm not going to hit the wall with my head. So you might explore that for just a minute. I've got straight legs. They're in that scissor position again. I'm drawing the belly in, and I'm going to fold forward over my hip crease, much like we did in that Uttanasana we just did. So it looks like this. I want to just make a note that this front leg, we need to activate the quadriceps. Imagine pulling the kneecap up to the firm to the bone so that we don't hyperextend that leg. And then we draw in the belly and fold forward. And you could walk your hands to the wall. This is intense forward stretch. Okay, so my hips square forward, my belly draws in, my heart reaches forward, and here I am in Parsvottanasana. This is the extended aspect. If you like a forward bend, you could add the forward bend to it, but you don't need to. Okay, so should we take the right leg forward first? Scissors position. So here we are again, the thighs roll in, the belly draws towards the back body, the heart lifts up. We'll lift up the front toes for a moment, spread them wide and bring the toes back down to the floor. Now feel the big toe mound, pinky toe mound, inner edge of the foot, outer edge of the heel. Keep those active. And now let's find the hip crease and begin to fold forward over the hip crease. So your forward might be right here. Just reaching, reaching, reaching. Maybe it's a little lower, but that's less important than the stability of our foundation, our legs and our core, and the length of our spine. And when you're ready, come walk your way up and out, and we'll switch to the other side. Okay. So thighs rolling in, belly drawing in, heart lifting up. Beautiful. When you're ready, if that front leg is active, you're ready to fold forward over that front leg, and maybe you reach the hands up the wall. Maybe you walk further down the wall. Maybe you stay in extension, maybe you round the spine, your choice. Inhale, extend and walk all the way back up. Good, and out you come. Okay, whew. Intense bird stretch, Utthita Parsvottanasana. It's a really nice stretch, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I got a nice calf stretch on that one as well. All right, so we've really stretched the hamstrings, we stretched the calves. We're gonna stretch the quadriceps now. They've been doing a lot of work for us. So here we are at the wall, why don't you use that? And some of us may want a strap, so I'll just show it to you first with a strap. It's a quadriceps stretch, so these 4 muscles in the front thigh. And it looks like this. I'll do it from the side just so you can see it. I am again in Tadasana alignment, and then I'm going to bend my knee. And rather than taking it forward or to the side, I'm going to roll it in as if I was standing in Tadasana. And then I'll just bring the heel up towards my buttock. And the strap can help me do that. Some of us are also comfortable holding the ankle or the foot. But again, rolling in, drawing the belly in, lifting up. And look, I also have the opportunity to open up my chest. So I don't want to collapse forward. I want to hold on here. Ooh, core, chest, quadricep. Okay, so I'm going to give you that opportunity to set up your quadricep stretch. Feel free to use the wall for balance. If you want to challenge your balance today, you could maybe extend the arm forward or up. But I really want the focus to be on these quadriceps first. So let's get into the subtleties of that. Rolling the thigh in, drawing the belly in, lifting the heart, opening the chest. Excellent. Okay, let's do the other side now. Rolling the thigh in. Is your pelvis spilled forward? Can you equalize the pelvis? Draw the belly into the back body. Open the chest. And again, you can play with balance if you like. But our biggest focus right now is stretching the quadriceps that work so well for us today. Do our standing poses. This has been a lot of standing today. And release. Okay, good job, everybody. All right, shall we come on down to the floor? How about it? Now, may I say, if your body would like a forward fold before you come on down to the floor, feel free to take it. Maybe half down dog using the chair or the wall. Maybe a full down dog if your body would like that. Or remember, we did these forward bends. We could do a forward bend and just use the opportunity to go inward for just a moment. All right, so your choice. And if your body's just ready to be on the floor, come on down to the floor. It's good too. All right, and when you're ready, would you meet me here on the floor, please? We are going to do one more shape before we come into our Shavasana. And this is one, you know what? We didn't get to do, I had to cut out a whole swath of poses today. It's okay, because I'm trying not to rush through things. I want us to really enjoy where we are. I think I do want to do a bridge pose on a block though. So what I'm going to do is take the face of my block and put it right here under the sacrum versus the small of the back, right here on this triangular bottom part of your spine. And it will look like this. I want my shoulder blades on my back, and I'll press through the feet, lift up, and just take the sacrum onto the support of the face of the block. So this isn't a really big, deep back bend. It's just a gentle back bend. It also lifts the hips above the heart. A small inversion. Our parasympathetic nervous system turns on when we come into inversions. So it slows our heart rate, slows the rate of our breathing, and it turns off the hormonal signaling center that sends out stress, panic hormones. Get ready for action. No, instead, it tells the body it can quiet. Sometimes it's called the rest and digest phase. When you're in fight or flight, you're definitely not digesting. All the energy is going to your extremities so you can get away. But here, we go inward, we quiet down, we integrate what we've done, we recover. And you're welcome to stay right here, but you could also experiment with bringing one leg up. Knee can be bent or straight. You could bring both legs up, and again, bent or straight. Just increasing the inversion, if that suits you today. You're ready. We'll slowly make our way out of this shape, whatever variation of it you took, and we will work our way into Shavasana. So you take the Shavasana that feels most appealing to you today. Sometimes we just lay on the floor with our hands and feet apart. A lot of us like a little support behind the head, and especially a lot of us like a little support behind the knees. So sometimes I'll take these blocks at a little angle behind my knee like that. That feels nice. And taking that bend again lets the low back relax. You could also bring your legs either up a wall or onto the seat of a chair, something like this, so that the knees are over the hips. All right, so whatever shape would allow your body to rest and relax, that's the one we want to take. So let's find that. Seeing once more if you can find balance through your body. Hands out equidistant from your hips, for instance. Both sides of the body bearing the weight equally. Allowing the body to experience the support so that it can release and let go, and your mind then can also let go. And you can sit right in your heart center as a witness, in that place where we get balanced, impartial wisdom, because our heart center is unaffected by the ups and downs of our daily living. It is just that peaceful place. That allows us to draw on the fullest part of our wisdom, offering a broad perspective. When you're ready, take a couple of deeper breaths as a entryway back into your physical experience. Just noticing then where your body might want to move or stretch or wiggle. And then as you're ready, we'll gradually work our way onto the side and back into a seated shape of your choosing. Could be on a chair, in that cross-legged shape that we started in, or I'm sitting in hero's pose, Virasana. Good, so finding your way back into a seat as our transition back into our day. Taking one last little pause. Remembering the intention that you set at the beginning of class, in my case, intentions. Right, the intention to step into your own light. And any other intentions you set to assist you in that quest. Feeling balanced, feeling solid. Having rooted yourself in your whole being. When you're ready, we'll bring our hands to the heart center, honoring that light in ourselves and one another. Namaste. Wonderful. Thank you.